Canceling the rent and canceling mortgages is the only humane solution to a situation where people are losing income for months on end.
From the start of September to August 17th, nearly 10,000 eviction actions were filed by large corporate landlords across the 5 states of Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas, despite the CDC eviction ban. Under Trump's order, the agency implemented a nationwide ban on evictions on September 1st, provided that tenants meet 5 criteria to be eligible for this protection, such as being financially impacted by the pandemic. Lobbyists representing the nation's biggest landlords quickly intervened, pushing for a quote-unquote clarification to the ban. 8 days later, the CDC released a note that landlords can, in some cases, begin eviction proceedings now, even though they aren't supposed to technically remove tenants from their homes before the end of the year, and that landlords aren't even required to inform tenants about the eviction ban or its terms. Landlords can also challenge a tenant's sworn claims of being financially impacted by the pandemic. In their note, the CDC said there is no appeal process for tenants who are denied the eviction protection. One of these landlord lobbying groups, the National Apartment Association, bragged on its website that it had, quote, first-hand conversations with the Trump administration and the U.S. Department of Justice to undermine the ban. Large landlords are now filing plenty of evictions, including billionaire U.S. public companies like Invitation Homes, which owns and leases 80,000 single-family homes nationwide. The company's earnings went up by 54% for the first 6 months of this year, and its stock price rose by 80% since the market hit its lowest in March. So, is this really an eviction ban at all, or just a publicity stunt for the Trump administration? We're happy to be joined by Monica Johnson, an organizer with the American Friends Service Committee and the Housing Justice League. Thanks for joining us on Breakthrough.
So happy to be with you guys, Monica.
How is it possible that so many landlords are still able to get away with pushing forward evictions despite the moratorium?
Really, what it comes down to is sort of intimidation and a lack of empowerment on the part of tenants. Self-help evictions, which is when the landlord themselves or hires someone to evict the tenant, has been illegal in most places for a long time. But tenants are not, by and large, are not aware of that. They think that any notice telling them to leave, a notice to vacate, is actually an eviction. They aren't always aware that it is a judicial process, and that the eviction needs to be processed in court in order for you to actually be evicted. So really what it comes down to is that landlords kind of do what they want. They will threaten the person and tell them that they must leave when they don't actually have the law behind them there, but tenants don't know that.
Since the start of the pandemic, we've seen a rallying cry across the country from housing justice activists like yourself, from tenant organizers, even small homeowners demanding a cancellation of rent and mortgages. And one of the popular slogans of this movement has also been housing is a human right. Can you talk more about why so many people believe this and why housing is so necessary to making sure that every single person has a right to live in this country?
One of the most inspiring things to me has been to see when you go to a location where tenants are being harassed and living in these situations. Oftentimes people believe it's their fault. But when you build sort of a connection, organization in the community, people start to understand that it's not their fault that they aren't able to pay their rent in the pandemic. It's fault that businesses have been shut down, and therefore it's much harder to make the income they had. So canceling the rent and canceling mortgages is the only humane solution to a situation where people are losing income for months on end. Building just moratoriums where the full amount of rent is due a few months later doesn't help anyone that has no job, that has no health insurance, that has no really savings or anything to fall back on. When you're in this low wage work that many of our people are in, there's no way to make these huge lump sums of money, which already are much higher than they should be for these often falling apart properties. So people understanding that these property managers, these landlords are part of the same system that means to extract the most money out of them while providing them no way to get ahead. Housing doesn't have to be something that drains more and more of your resources every year. Isn't it? Doesn't have to be something where you're begging maintenance to come and plug leaks of sewage in your apartment. All people deserve to have clean and safe housing.